You know that feeling, right? You want to really get something, go deeper than just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
But then you see all the info out there and it just feels, wow, it's a lot.
Information overload. It's definitely a thing.
Exactly. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to dive deep into something maybe you see every day. But it has this surprising power. It's the Mighty Cinnamon Color Palette for Kitchen from BrandCanvasStudio.
Right. And this isn't just, looking at paint chips.
No, forget that. We're really digging into how these specific colors, these shades, can actually change the whole feel of your kitchen. How it functions, even.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Your kitchen, it's often the heart of the home, isn't it?
Totally.
So the colors you choose for that space, they have a real impact. Maybe subtle, but definitely there. On your mood, energy, maybe even what you feel like cooking.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And by focusing on this specific palette, this cinnamon one, we can get really specific. Go beyond just general color ideas.
Pinpoint what each shade actually brings to the table.
And like you said, it's not just one cinnamon color. There are 6 shades here.
6, yeah. Which tells you right away there's some nuance.
We've got light cinnamon, cinnamon stick, spicy cinnamon, burnt cinnamon, cinnamon brown, and warm cinnamon red. It's quite a range, actually.
It is. It's like a whole family of these warm, sort of inviting tones. Each one's got its own little personality.
What's kind of cool is how these 6 manage to capture that whole idea of cinnamon, from the really soft, almost neutral side.
A delicate part.
To the richer, spicier end of things. It feels pretty thought through, especially for a kitchen space.
It does suggest a very sort of curated approach and cohesive design language.
Okay, so mission for today. Let's really unpack these cinnamon colors. What makes each one tick? How can you use them strategically in your kitchen? And what's the overall vibe each one creates? We're going beyond just, oh, that's a light brown.
Getting into the practical stuff, the real impact.
Right. Okay, let's dive in, starting with the lightest touch, the most delicate one. Light cinnamon.
Okay, light cinnamon. That's hex code, #D6A77A. And the description is soft, neutral, warm, slightly muted orange-brown.
Okay, muted orange-brown. So warm, but gentle.
Exactly. The key thing here seems to be that it's inviting, but it's not like demanding attention. It's subtle.
Like the first hint of spice, maybe? Not the full whack.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So it won't overpower things. It's more like a comforting background color. They mention using it for walls, cabinets, or even just small accents. Seems pretty flexible.
Very versatile, yeah.
Yeah.
It can be the main player or just support other things going on in the design.
And it works well with other warm tones, right? Because it's already in that family.
Precisely. And think about putting it next to, say, natural wood finishes.
Yeah.
That visual link creates this nice flow, makes the space feel maybe a bit calmer, more open even.
Yeah, those analogous colors working together. Makes sense. Okay, moving on. Let's get a little deeper into the spice rack. Cinnamon stick, #C77A54.
All right, cinnamon stick. Described as richer, more vibrant, a deeper brownish orange. You can feel the intensity picking up a bit here.
Yeah, you can. It's stepping away from just being neutral. It's got more presence.
Definitely more assertive.
Yeah.
And the idea of using it for a focal point, like a feature wall, or maybe the kitchen island, that makes total sense.
Because it has enough visual weight to kind of anchor the room, draw your eye.
Exactly. It provides that natural focus.
And I like the suggestion pairing cinnamon stick with cream or white accent.
Oh, yeah. Classic combo.
It sounds really balanced, doesn't it? The depth of the cinnamon, but then the clean, simple, neutral, comforting, like they say.
That contrast is really key,
Yeah.
It stops that richer tone from feeling too heavy or dominant.
Right. Both the warmth of the cinnamon and the freshness of the white or cream kind of shine.
And they also mentioned it can add a touch of luxury, maybe on cabinetry or tiles, which points to that inherent depth, that warmth it has.
Okay, now we're getting spicier. Next is spicy cinnamon, #9E5D3B.
Spicy cinnamon, yeah.
And the source actually says this one brings an extra punch. Bolder, deeper orange-brown. Sounds like it's really meant to liven things up.
Absolutely. The connection they make to energy and warmth feels spot on. This isn't a color that just blends in.
No way. It wants to be noticed.
So the suggestion to use it in smaller doses, like accessories, rugs, maybe bar stools, that seems smart. Inject the energy without it being too much.
Little hits of flavor, visual spark.
Exactly. Concentrated bursts.
But they do also mention using it for a statement wall. That sounds potentially really dramatic.
It does, creating that lively atmosphere they talk about, stimulating, inviting creativity, which, you definitely want that feel in a kitchen.
For sure.
But, that brings up a good point. if you're thinking statement wall with a bold color like this,
Yeah.
you really got to consider the light. How much natural light does the kitchen actually get? Because spicy cinnamon on a whole wall will feel very different in a bright, sunny room versus a darker one.
Oh, that's a really practical thought. Yeah. Light changes everything. Okay. Good point. Let's shift to something maybe a bit more grounded. Burnt cinnamon, #7F3F2A.
Burnt cinnamon. Okay. This one's framed as being about sophistication, depth, deeper, more intense than the last couple.
Sounds more substantial, like it carries more weight.
It does. And that word burnt,
Yeah.
it suggests richness, intensity, but also maybe something a bit earthier.
Yeah, earthy, like its rustic charm, which they mention, a connection to natural stuff.
Exactly. Less refined elements, perhaps.
And they specifically suggest pairing it with natural wood tones and stone surfaces. I can totally picture that.
Oh, yeah.
That deep warmth of the burnt cinnamon next to the texture of wood or stone. That sounds really grounding, really inviting.
It definitely leans towards maybe a more traditional look or perhaps that modern rustic style that's popular.
Right, and using it for bigger things like cabinets or the backsplash or the island, that could create a real sense of permanence, substance.
A solid foundation for the space.
Okay, next up, cinnamon brown, #6A2F1B, described as rich, earthy, maybe even a bit darker and more intense than burnt cinnamon.
Seems like it, yeah. We're getting towards the real core is the cinnamon idea here. That deep, complex brown.
Right, and they talk about elegance, a timeless quality. That feels right for a deep brown, established, dependable.
Exactly, that's the feel.
And okay, pairing this one with brass or gold fixtures and appliances, wow.
Yeah, that sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It just screams luxury, but still warm. It takes that earthy brown and just adds a bit of glam. I can see how that would feel really sophisticated and inviting.
Absolutely, it's a really refined mix. You get the grounded feel from the brown, but then that reflective warmth from the metals.
Nice. Using that on walls or cabinets would make a strong statement, but a warm one.
Definitely establishes a strong visual base for the kitchen.
All right, last one in the palette. Warm cinnamon red. #B5E5C39. This feels like a bit of a shift, doesn't it? It's actually red.
It is red, yeah. Rich, deep red, but with warm undertones. That's the key part.
Ah, okay. So the warm keeps it tied into the whole cinnamon family. It's not just like a bright fire engine red.
Exactly. It stops it from becoming too stark or clashing with the overall warmth. It still feels related.
So using it for accents makes sense. Accent walls, highlighting a backsplash, maybe some furniture.
Yeah, that seems like the way to go.
Yes.
That's how you bring in that pop of color, that energy, without kind of, breaking the cozy vibe of the palette.
Right. It's that burst, but still feels sophisticated and balanced, like they say. Which can be tricky with reds sometimes.
It can, yeah. Reds can be overpowering if you're not careful.
So this is a way to get that vibrancy, maybe add some personal flair, but keep it harmonious with the other cinnamon tones.
A touch of vibrancy that still fits the theme.
Okay, wow. So we've walked through all 6 shades. Light cinnamon, all the way to warm cinnamon red. Each one definitely has its own feel.
They really do. Quite distinct characters.
So the big question now is, how do you actually use these together? How does the palette work in practice? They mention versatility, which sounds good.
It does. And that's usually the point of a curated palette like this.
Right.
The colors are meant to work together. You're not just picking one in isolation.
Right.
So the first point they make is fundamental. Pair these cinnamon shades with neutrals. Whites, soft grays, creams.
Gives your eye a place to rest.
Exactly. A visual breather. It lets those warm cinnamon tones be the star without the whole thing feeling too busy or overwhelming.
Makes perfect sense, like a canvas for the warmer colors. And then they also suggest maybe bringing in other warm hues, like mustard or terracotta.
Yeah, to kind of layer the warmth, enhance that cozy feeling even more.
Ooh, I like that. Mustard and cinnamon tones could be really nice together. Creates more depth.
Precisely. It's like building flavors like you said earlier about cooking. You're layering these warm, complementary tones for a richer, more nuanced feel overall.
Okay, let's get really practical. Specific uses. For accent walls, they lean towards the deeper ones, right? Burnt cinnamon or cinnamon stick.
Yeah, that feels pretty intuitive. Those shades have the visual weight, the presence to really define an area or create that strong focal point.
Draw the eye, add depth, especially if you've got a bigger kitchen or some interesting architecture to show off.
Absolutely. It becomes a natural anchor point.
And then for the bigger things cabinets, furniture, they suggest going lighter. Light cinnamon or cinnamon brown.
Also seems like a good strategy. You usually want those main functional bits to feel inviting, maybe recede a little visually.
Especially if your kitchen isn't huge.
Right. Keep it feeling open and approachable. And those lighter, warmer browns and tans, they just naturally work well with wood, which you see so much in kitchens anyway.
Yeah, complements it beautifully. It makes the whole space feel welcoming.
Open and welcoming.
Okay, finally, accessories. The little bits. And here they say bring in the bold ones. Spicy cinnamon, warm cinnamon red.
Yes, this is where you can have some fun with it.
Totally. Inject that personality, that energy, but without a massive commitment. Like small appliances, maybe towels, cushions, artwork.
Exactly. Those little pops of vibrant color. And the great thing about accessories is, you can change them easily.
Right. Low stakes experimentation. Play with the more energetic cinnamon shades without painting a whole wall.
Precisely. Swap them out with the seasons even.
So, pulling this all together, it really sounds like this Mighty Cinnamon palette is a fantastic toolkit. It gives you this beautiful blend of warmth and richness, makes a kitchen feel cozy but also stylish.
I think so. It's not just one single note, like you said. It's this whole harmony of warm tones you can play with.
And that versatility seems key, whether you like things soft and understated or you want some bolder accents.
There seems to be enough range within these 6 shades to suit different tastes, different styles.
So for you listening, as you're thinking about your kitchen, that space where you cook, gather, just live your life, this palette seems like a really great starting point for creating that inviting, energizing feel.
It really does. It's about finding that mix of these cinnamon-inspired colors that feels right for you, that makes the kitchen truly feel like the heart of your home.
Yeah. Which brings up a final thought, maybe something for you to mull over.
Okay.
Consider those fundamental qualities we talked about with these cinnamon shades. The warmth, the connection to nature, that spectrum from gentle to intense. How do those qualities resonate with the feeling you actually want to create in your kitchen day to day?
That's a great point. Connecting the color's inherent nature to the desired emotional atmosphere.
Exactly. So maybe now, as you look at colors, not just in your kitchen, but anywhere, you'll see how even a focused palette like this Mighty Cinnamon one shows the really powerful effect thoughtful color choices can have.
On your daily experience, yeah. And how it reflects your own style.
Totally. And hey, if you are feeling inspired and want to explore even more color ideas, you can always check out the sources. They've got more palettes over at BrandCanvasStudio.com/product, Arlen-Pierce branding kit, and also at CanvasLush.com.